Welcome to Munching with Michael, the all-you-can-eat buffet of food, culture, history, and just an all-around good time. Be sure to sign up for notifications, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit up our Instagram, and edit our Wikipedia page to include erroneous facts that aren't even true. Come along.
So here we go. This is it. We're now on the second episode of the Munching with Michael podcast. I am Jim from Munching with Michael, and today I am so excited to have joining us today entrepreneurial special woman, superhero Brittany Connerly of Winso Bakery.
That was the best introduction I've ever had in my entire life.
It was off the cuff
anything.
too. I knew if I just started talking, it would come to me. But that's what I came up with. Thank you very much for taking the time to come with us on this special journey today. Thank you. I'm so excited. This is great.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I genuinely have been so excited. I've been telling everyone. So,
is that true?
Thank
You've been letting people know?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We had some people over for the Super Bowl yesterday, and I told everyone about your podcast. They actually liked the introduction song. Diego, you know Diego.
Oh, yeah.
They
commented
on the, yes. Yeah.
That's great.
So, yes, they opened. They were very excited. We were all excited. It's on Spotify now, which is a big deal.
It is. That definitely
Congratulations.
is. Thank you so much. I don't want to brag too much, but it's really easy to do. I didn't realize it was going to be so easy to do, but yeah. So yeah, Spotify and I think Google Podcasts. And there was one other one that I wasn't familiar with. But yeah, we just went through a program called Anchor. Have you ever heard of Anchor before?
I have not.
I think it's just owned by Spotify. I think it's just like a podcast hosting platform that automatically feeds into Spotify and some other ones. But it was really nice because a lot of the more professional ones, I think you pay a small subscription fee for hosting and they do a lot of stuff for you. But I just wanted something simple and somebody recommended that. Michael did actually, of Munching with Michael. Michael recommended it. And yeah, it was super simple, super easy. So if you ever decide to start...
It's very official.
Yeah, if you ever decide to start a podcast, I would highly recommend using Anchor because it couldn't be easier. And we're very excited to have multiple avenues for letting people, listen to our podcast. It's very exciting.
Noted. Love it. Bless you. To Alyssa.
Yeah, that's Alyssa. Alyssa's over there. Yeah, this microphone, it's an Audio Technica AT2020. It's a large diaphragm condenser, and it's meant for recording. But yeah, it's super, super sensitive. But I think it'll probably just be like part of the aesthetic. Is that whatever's going on during the podcast, if Alyssa's doing something, she gets to be a part of the podcast too.
I love it. I love hearing her. Well, only once when I listened to the first episode, but in the background. And I like that she sneezed twice now. It should be a new tradition where she sneezes in every episode.
Yeah. She's 2 for 2. Bless you. So are you, would you say that you're a podcast person?
I am a podcast person. I used to be heavily, like daily on my commute to work. But now that I'm at home every day and since the pandemic, not as much, but I've slowly been starting again because I just need that sense of before the pandemic when it was part of my routine. And so I'm trying to get back into it, but I need some new ones. So I'm glad that you have yours because the ones I used to listen to, I just don't like that much, but I genuinely loved yours. The first episode. Nice. Fantastic.
Well, great. Well, we hope to keep that bar. I know I have no worries about the bar right now with this episode. Having you on, I already know that the bar is just going to continue to go up. No offense to Michael, of course. But yeah. So you had people over. Well, let me see. Where do we want to go with this? I think maybe start at the beginning. So when we started this podcast, in my head, I had the idea of just bringing on people that are involved with food in some capacity. I mean, that could be somebody who's professional, that's such a wide range of people, right? You popped into my head immediately because you had mentioned the pandemic and routine and stuff like that. So you decided relatively recently, I don't know exactly when the time was, but you decided recently to pursue your own business and start your own bakery. Is that correct?
That is correct. Winso Bakery. And it was, so we're friends. I know you. So you kind of know like my trajectory with like my history of like my career. I was a teacher. I worked in The athletic industry, and then this is just like my newest endeavor. I'm not doing it full time, but yeah, it was something in the pandemic. I don't know if you want to start there or you want me to.
So we are friends, just so people have a little bit of context. So let's see. How long have we known each other? So I met you through my fiance, Alyssa, and we've been together for 4 years and change, I think, 4 to 5-ish years, something like that.
Yeah.
And we met through a mutual friend who Alyssa was living with at the time. So I believe very shortly after Alyssa and I started dating, I would have met you probably like real early on in our relationship.
Very early on. I remember, I don't know when, it was probably just hanging out at their apartment, and I met you there for the first time. So yeah, very early on. Yeah. So,
and ever since then, you and Alyssa have become very, very close friends. And you know, us, we are good friends as well, I would say. And so much so that you're actually, I mean, we're getting married, but you are a bridesmaid in our wedding.
I am. I'm very excited about that. And we lived like, 5 minutes away from each other for 2 years?
We did. Yes. It was great.
Yeah,
we were Tempe represent.
Yeah. So that was wonderful. Yeah. Love Tempe. Wish you guys would come back.
Mm-hmm. And
2021 goal.
Nothing is, who knows? Everything is so crazy right now. I know that both of us miss it dearly, and seeing all the pictures and just all the stuff, all the like cyclical stuff like that happens every year in Phoenix. It's like every month I'm like, oh, this is, waste management open time, or, oh, this is spring training time. Like, it seems like every month is a special time in Phoenix where something's going on. Except for summer, then it's just like everybody's inside, and I don't know, I guess pool parties and pretty laying low, but yeah, it's a special place.
Luckily for you, your first year not here, was nothing going on though. So you didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah, it didn't bode too well for starting off in a new place either, when you want to just submerge yourself in the culture and all the events and stuff like that that's going on. So coming to San Antonio this year has been a little tricky. True. Yeah. And, but we've done fine here. We've got the river, and all the restaurants are still open. The food out here is outrageous. That is one thing I will give to San Antonio. I much prefer the food out here than I do in Phoenix, and the breweries. I much prefer breweries out here than Phoenix. I do. I really do. Yep.
Very surprising.
I know.
I love San Antonio, but I'm very surprised. I mean, I was only there for a week, so that's not living there, really experiencing all of the restaurants, but I'm shocked to hear that because I know how much you love Phoenix.
I do. Yeah. And the interesting thing I think is that like I don't feel like Phoenix has a like general vibe or like a style that it specializes in. That's one of the great things about Phoenix. It's such an like amalgam of all these different places. So you might have like your favorite taco shop or your favorite pizza place, or your favorite like kind of one-off restaurant. They specialize and they do their one thing.
Yeah.
But San Antonio, it's like barbecue, German food, and Mexican food. Like those are the three things that I go to, and they all have their unique style. And I think just the barbecue. I just love the barbecue out here so much. It's so great.
Those are great categories of food to live in a city where they specialize, especially the barbecue and Mexican.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. And I mean, it's just great for me because that just like hits like my three favorite things. And especially being German, like I feel like German restaurants and even German like beers, you don't see it all that often. Like in Phoenix, all the beers, I feel like they're really like IPA dominated. It's like very West Coast style where it's just, I don't know. I feel like it was IPA, just everybody had a billion different IPAs over there. Whereas here it's more like lagers and pilsners and more traditional laid back German styles, which really vibes with my palate. So that's been we haven't done very much since we've been here, but the things that I've eaten and drank, I really enjoy how like the historical culture is tied into the cuisine and the food and the drinks out here. Like that's very apparent, and that I think is really cool. So, whenever,
that's true.
You guys should come
Phoenix
on out.
Phoenix is just big.
Phoenix is massive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Phoenix is absolutely massive. And again, I'm not knocking on Phoenix at all. Like I love the food there, and I do like the breweries there quite a bit, and all of that. I love it there. But San Antonio.
No, I get what you're saying. Stuff. Yeah. So. No, it's just we don't have that one thing, but it's because it is so big, and there's it's just more variety. You get a little bit of everything, but we don't specialize. If anything, I would say people mainly, I guess, Mexican, but I don't know. That's like what you were saying. There's so many.
Yeah. And even to me, like if you ask me about like traditional Phoenix Mexican, I would say like the burrito shops. all of the Berto shops. That to me is like super Phoenix, you know, like everybody's got their burrito shop that they swear by.
And that's not my favorite type of Mexican, but I absolutely agree. Like the Bertos.
The various Bertos.
Yeah.
Taking that, switching over. So, so we've been friends quite a long time. We live very close to one another. And yes, you were very well known for just slinging this phenomenal baked goods, like out of left field, where you would just drop something off. And, if it's like, I feel like if I were to give a baked good to somebody, it would almost be like a joke gift. Like maybe it would be good and like it would technically be a cookie. So you would say thank you. But the baked goods that you gave to us, you eat it and you're like, oh my goodness, like this is fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, so it became very clear that like baking isn't like going and getting some slice and bake cookies and giving it to friends. Like it was very evident early on that like baking for you is like legit. It's, practice.
Oh yeah.
It's
I take it seriously. Yeah. I love it, but I take it seriously. Very seriously.
And I wanted to ask you about that. So how long have you been baking, or where did that come from? Is that something that comes from growing up? Is that just like a hobby you acquired later in life, or tell me about that?
No, definitely growing up. My mom was always known throughout. So I went to a really small private school, and we had the same teachers, like ever since kindergarten, K through 6, the same parents, kids, everyone. So everyone knew my mom was the best baker. And so I remember, some of my earliest memories just baking with her, and everything. And we would go and drop them off for her friends, for like my teachers. And like she set the bar so high. And so now we always joke like whose is better. But like she was just the top tier baker. And then my parents were divorced or are divorced. And so my dad, once they divorced, he was like, all right, I'm going to learn how to cook. And then he started liking, not baking on the same level as my mom, but he started getting into it. And he would love every Christmas us baking and then delivering every year would be a different baked good. And we would deliver them to my brother's friends and my friends. So both sides, both parents, we just love baking. And so I kind of took it off from there, and through high school, that would be like my thing. I would love to bake, but then it was more like boxed, I wasn't necessarily totally from scratch, like for cakes and stuff. And then in college, when I had my first house with my roommates, like I was always the one, like I was like, I'm going to make recipes and I'm going to bake. And like, I was always wanted to be the hostess. So I took it seriously to provide the best food. And from there, like that's when I started developing my own recipes in college.
I can definitely speak to your hosting abilities. Like the events that you host at your place are unlike any like dinner. I don't think I'd ever actually been to like a proper dinner party until we went to your Friendsgiving. Like the level of detail and even the like placemats and the seating and the arrangements and the drink and food, appetizer stations versus the craft, drinks that were specialty made. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I opened my mouth where it's just like, what? I didn't realize this was possible. Like, I didn't realize that like a person who didn't do this professionally, but I guess you do event planning is in your background, isn't it?
Yes. So, well, thank you first, because that was a wonderful compliment.
Thanks for the invite. I got to hang out and eat. It was awesome.
Yeah, I love hosting. But yeah, so I started out as a teacher. I went to college in Ohio, got my teaching degree, got my license. I moved out to Arizona and I became a teacher. And then a little over halfway through my third year teaching, I started working for a basketball program who just catered and works with like top star high school athletes. And so I started doing that, and I met a wonderful basketball player who now plays for the Phoenix Suns, and his family brought me on full time to work with him after, I worked with him throughout high school, college. And so I would do like, that was taking my passion of planning and events and just like the marketing, all of that, And I transitioned to that full time, and I just absolutely fell in love. And it was definitely a change at first because, like I said, I'd always wanted to be a teacher. That's what I went to school for. But then doing that was awesome. And then the pandemic happened, and obviously the NBA was one of the first big things to shut down and call it quits. And so that definitely gave me more free time. And that's when kind of the seed was like, all right, like I am not someone who can just sit around. Like I have to be working. I have to be doing something like constantly. And like at first I loved it. I was like, I'm a stay-at-home dog mom. This is great. And then like a couple weeks in, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going crazy. And so I was like, well, let me start like trying to bake and like come up with more recipes, because my chocolate chip cookie, like I had that down and that's always what I would bring. But I was like, let me try other things just until the NBA season gets back up and going. But I didn't know what that was going to be. So then I started trying other recipes and creating, and I just loved it. And I was like, I think I liked working so much in the basketball industry because it is so fast paced, but I'm not at a desk. And so the bakery is very similar to me, where I don't have someone telling me what to do. Like I have very much creative freedom. So it paralleled my time working in the basketball industry. And so I was like, all right, let me start with these recipes. And then from there, like one day I just was like, I'm going to go, because I was doing it all with a hand mixer, not even a KitchenAid mixer. So I bought the KitchenAid mixer and I was like, all right, like I'm going full force. Like I started looking for business names. I registered my website. I like started looking into forming an LLC. And I was like, it's go time. And it was just so quick. Like it went from just like trying recipes to like, all right, well, I have this time, let's do it.
And tell us, that's quite a unique business name that you have there. Where did that come from?
Yes. Winso is my two dogs' names, Winnie and Oso combined. And it was, your fiance, Alyssa, knows, it was such a pain coming up with this dang website or company name. I was like, I have to make sure a website's available. I have to make sure all social media is available, LLC, all of that. And I kept coming up with things, and it's just like, I don't like the like sweet sugar or like baking with Brittany. Like I'm not that kind of like, it's too, cliche. I don't like it. So I was like, I want something that resonates with me, and I love my dogs. Like I love my dogs. And I also was like, I want to give back. And Phoenix is so big, but so philanthropic, and it's a really great network. And I was like, so doing my two dogs' names, I can every month donate proceeds to local animal shelters and tie it in that way. So two things I was passionate about. And so Winso is Winnie and Oso combined, Winso Bakery.
And you're donating proceeds from your bakery to local animal shelters.
Yes. So last month was AAWL, the Arizona Animal Welfare League, which is where I rescued Winnie from 2 years ago. And I donated, they were in dire need of natural laundry detergents. So we did that. We did treats, we did blankets, and just sent it over to them. And then this month will be Love of Pups, which is where Brian rescued Oso from, our pitty. So, and then every month will be, something. And sometimes it'll be like, I'll just talk to them, reach out. AAWL, I know because I still take Winnie there. So, they let me know. But, it'll be sometimes just send over money but like if they're in dire need of supplies, try to do that. But I think it's important to give back. And so.
Wow. I shouldn't be shocked. I would say I'm shocked. I didn't realize that you had put that much into, what's in a name. There's so much into that name, It goes a lot deeper because I heard that. I was like, oh, it's your two dogs and, it goes together really nicely. But I love that you're able to kind of branch out to make it kind of a greater reaching, for the greater good. Through kind of your brand and your company and all that. And I think that's wonderful. And those are great. Those are great organizations. I know when we lived there, Alyssa was very in tune with what was going on with those places and constantly trying to get me to get another dog to join our family. That's,
which now you have.
Which now we have. Yeah. Which now we have, which is, a new dog is not without its challenges, but I don't have to tell you that. You know all about that.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Winnie has had quite the transformation.
quite the transformation. And you actually know that firsthand because you guys watched her.
Yeah.
When, she came from AAWL and long story short, but she grew up on a farm with almost 60 other dogs, totally outside in Nevada. These, I'm just going to say it, awful people did not take care of the dogs, so they just kept reproducing. Finally, a neighbor called in on them, 60 dogs, all brought here. They'd never been inside, so they didn't know they didn't know what, noises were. So Winnie would freak out if, a garbage truck would go by, if a car would start. But now she, whenever the mailman comes, the loud truck, she'll, run up to the door. And she, wags her tail and barks. So she's just a new dog. She's the head little girl around here. She runs this house.
That's very encouraging to hear because we're actually, not nearly to the extent that Winnie is, but the dog that we have is very similar where she startles very much. And, her behavior is such that it just seems like, I don't know, she's a little bit behind with where we want her to be right now with things. So, but just keep working with her. And fortunately, she's very
it'll
sweet.
Get better.
So.
Yeah, and she seems very comfortable. Where Winnie, she was not she wouldn't even we look at pictures where she used to just look away from me and she would put her head in between the bed and the wall because she could not look at me because I was just so repulsing to her. And at least Josie rolls over for you guys, and
that's true.
I feel like she's.
Yeah, she's the most submissive. Yeah, if you ever need to do something with her, you just pick her up and place her or do whatever you want. So yeah, in many regards, yes, we are quite lucky to have her. But no, I remember Winnie. We looked after Winnie, and I remember she escaped the backyard. She hopped over the fence and was gone.
God.
You probably should never have seen that dog again. Not should, but
No, I know. We talk about that. Brian and I, to this day, I'll be it was a couple weeks after Christmas. I was like, do you remember when Winnie got away? I was that she should not have come back. That is pure, that's insane.
Yes. For the record, Alyssa and I both were at work. There was another person. Yes, there was another person at the house who was looking after the dogs and decided to leave the dogs outside and then run an errand. So just vanished for God knows how long. And Winnie, being the crafty outdoors woman that she is, decided that she was tired of the backyard, so found a way to, I don't know, jump on maybe a glass table that was in the backyard and then leap over that was probably 5-6 foot fence, I'll bet. It was almost my height.
It is. Yeah. And your house backed up to the freeway, which was also wild because I was she's gone. She's gone. Yep. Yes. But we have her. She's sitting outside the room and she's here.
Unfortunately, a good Samaritan in the neighborhood a few blocks away found a dog sitting in his garage, so he decided to close the garage and just keep the dog there until he developed a plan. And it just so happened that people were canvassing door to door looking for the dog and found Winnie, and she made it back.
Amazing. Truly, it's so lucky, and we love her so much. So it's we're so grateful, but it's still something that I do just have to laugh at it now, but it also gives me a pit because it's just wild. If the garage wasn't open, it's crazy. All the things that could have happened, but she's here.
Yes, it's lucky for you guys. It's lucky for Winnie. It's probably most lucky for the person who let the dog out and escape. Because I don't know, they'd probably be underground right now. Yeah, they'd probably be underground.
Oh my God. And we were in Cabo at the time. Yes. So no reception. So I was obviously hysterical, just hysterical. And I was that person, but I don't know if I don't want to put this on record on a podcast, but oh yeah, they would have had it coming if I did not have a dog.
Yes, it was a horrible phone call to have to give. And that was the question is, how long do you wait before making the call? And I can't remember exactly. I can actually remember exactly what the desk looked like that I was sitting at when I heard about what was going on. It's that one of those moments where you can probably ask me in 20 years, what was I doing when I first heard that Winnie got out of our backyard and had vanished, and our idiot roommate had no idea what happened to the dog. So,
who would have thought though that 2 years later she would have a bakery named after her? How far she has come.
She's
Winnie.
come so far. Absolutely.
And
she has a bakery named after her. So when exactly, so getting back to the bakery then, wonderful tangent. I'm ready to talk about dogs at any time because it's very, it's very forward in both of our lives. So when did you start the bakery? So you started it when the stay-at-home orders started. You said you had like a few weeks, and then all of a sudden you're like, I've got to do something. I just need a new
Yes.
outlet.
So I started baking, like this and professionally, it was really November. But then like I said, throughout quarantine, like I was trying and I thought about it, and there were just so many answers or questions about the pandemic. Like I just did not know, like, at everyone, like when things were going to start back up. So I really was like, okay, shouldn't I? Because when I'm working, in the basketball industry, like I don't have any time. Like it's like 15-hour days. So that kind of prevented me a little bit. But then as the pandemic kept going on, I was like, all right. So I started trying out recipes, I would say in the spring, summer. And I wanted to have a good catalog under my belt before going public. And then it was October, I bought the KitchenAid. And so then I went full force, like trying like more recipes with the dough hook and all of that stuff that I couldn't do with my hands or just the manual little mixer before. And then right after that, so early November, that's when I started coming up with bakery names, and I did my certification to be qualified to bake at home, the cottage license in Arizona. So all of that took about a month because you have to do a lot before you can legally cook at home.
Sorry, I was shuffling around.
No, it's okay. I get antsy too. So did all that, and then I started working on my website in November. This website has been such a labor of love. But right as I was like really steaming ahead with the website, I had a mechanic work on my car. And he's a small business, obviously. So we were just talking, and I was like, oh, like he said something. And I was like, no, I totally get it. I'm having those same issues, like starting a small business. It was something about Yelp. And he was like, oh, what's your business? And I told him, I was like, oh, I'm just getting started with a bakery, an at-home bakery. And so he placed an order for, the deal was, okay, I'm not going to charge you to work on your car. Can you give me cookies? And then I'll pay. My car was a little less than his order. So then he's like, then I'll pay the difference for cookies. And so I was like, yes.
Okay.
And I was so excited,
sure.
right? I was like, this is my first order, totally organic, not like family or friends. So I was just so excited. Ran inside. I was like, I have an order. And so I made him chocolate chip cookies. And because this was like, I had confidence in my recipe, but this was the first time someone was trying it and paying for it. And so I remember driving home and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I hope he likes it. And I got a text. I was turning into my neighborhood, and he was like, these are, without a doubt, the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had. They're genius. And I just went inside, and I still have goosebumps. My God, I'm pathetic. I make myself so happy. But I went inside, and I was like, oh my God, Brian, he loved it. And then that next week, he placed a big order, and he did it for Christmas presents for like his church and his friends and his family. And after that, like from that big order he placed where he gave like a cookie to all these people with this big order, it just took off. And so from there, a lot of like the back end business stuff, like website and like social media and marketing that I had planned to really do before I launched was put on hold because throughout the holiday season, I mean, I was baking, like I would get up and work, and then I would do like lunch. I would bake for a couple hours to prepare for orders, and then work some more. And then I'd be baking or like doing website, like trying to catch up with that for like another 8 hours. Like it's been crazy. But I love it. Like, it makes me feel good, and I made the right decision. But it's been nuts. It's been just wild.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, that's got to be pretty crazy validation, right? Because I think it's interesting that you said that this is the first time that somebody is, that this isn't like a gift or a favor or something nice to share with somebody. This is now officially a product. And, right? Like, yes. A product is only as good as what your customers say that they are. Yeah. And it seems like you got exactly the kind of reaction that would instill confidence to be like, maybe I really am I'm onto something. Like, because I mean, we all knew your chocolate chip cookies were bomb, and I'm sure that you also knew that they were fire, but to get that kind of a response, not only that, but what a great problem to have, all this secondary stuff, all of the social media and the website and all the marketing stuff to just kind of taking a back seat to actually just working with the product. Like, what a wonderful problem to have,
It really was. And that's why I would try to not let myself get too stressed, or I just have to focus like, okay, I have orders. That's what you want. Like, what is better than word of mouth, you know, especially this right now, like you need word of mouth. And baking, that was another thing I was like, I just had to get out of my head and I was like, I'm just going to do it, because it's not like there's a lack of bakeries, especially in, not even in Phoenix, like just in Tempe, you know, bakeries are everywhere. So I was really like, I know I have a good product, but I need to show people, okay, why should you come to me compared to this bakery or this bakery, you know? And so not even having from the start to like get myself out there, but just having the word of mouth naturally and so organically from the start was such an awesome feeling.
Yeah, that's great. And that's, I mean, my business, I like to think I'm somewhat business minded. I'm not. I don't own a business. I've never started a business. I've worked in sales is about my like extent of business and marketing and things like that. But basically what I know from business, I learned from Shark Tank. And I remember that. Yeah. And I always found it the best when people, when they would ask the, you know, whoever the business owners are, how much do you spend in marketing? And when people are like, I don't spend any money on marketing, like that's how you know. When it's all driven by the customers, the end result, when all of a sudden people are asking for your product and you don't have to go around telling people why they should want it. You just have people, word of mouth is so valuable, right?
It is. Yeah. So valuable. And it's hard, but like I said, I just was like, and this is just anyone, right? Like it's a podcast. People are listening for entertainment, but to gain knowledge, I just think it's so important, whether it be food or any industry. You just like, when you know, like every market is saturated, like unless you're just totally reinventing the wheel with something random, like more than likely when you're going into something like you just started there's other podcasts out there, but like there's other bakeries, there's other whatever out there, but you just have to have confidence and know it, you know? And that's where it's just like, get out of my head. Like, don't look at other people's stuff. Like just, I know I have a bomb ass cookie and like, I know what I can do. So it's just like getting out there and just doing it. Cause that was in my head at first. It was like, well, I don't know. There's so much out there, but
yeah,
now I'm grateful.
And I guess before I forget, so you do have a website, you have a website that's up and running now?
So I have a website, winsobakery.com, and it was up last week for like 2 days, but I'm really big, speaking of like getting yourself out there, on SEO, which is search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically I had it up and I really like, I have my website through Wix, and I was like, it comes with this whole SEO package through Google. And you have to have your website published to do it. And I was like, I don't have the time to now do SEO because I had orders. So they have someone doing my SEO for me, but they had to unpublish my website. So it's done, but they're just doing the SEO for me. So it's now unpublished.
Okay.
But maybe by the time this is live, they'll be done. I don't know. But yeah, winsobakery.com.
That's great. And then are you on social media at all?
Yes, Winso Bakery on Instagram and Winso Bakery on Facebook. And if you go to the website, that reminds me, and subscribe to my email list, there's a coupon code for 10% off your first order.
Oh, fantastic.
And if you're a teacher, work at a local animal shelter, a nurse, a veteran, or active military, I think that's it. You get 10% off anytime you order, not just your first time order.
That's awesome. Good for you. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, you are totally with it. Totally legit.
Yeah, I try.
So one other thing that I really wanted to talk to you about was developing recipes, because baking is something that's really foreign to me. Like I cook all the time. And it's just kind of me blindly going around and kind of leaning on things I've cooked in the past. And eventually I can kind of shape it to something where it's like good whenever I'm done with it. Baking is, I don't know. Baking is like calculus to me, where like I don't really.
It is.
Although actually I did take a little bit of calculus.
Math.
I know a little bit of calculus, but like to me it's this alchemy art form. And like, so you've obviously been baking like forever. So when it was time to develop a product that you were going to put your name on and sell, can you just talk a little bit about what your process was like for like coming up with the recipes? Was it, were some of them already done? Did you have to tinker a lot with some of them, or just, what was that experience like? Are they still changing? Are they always changing? I don't know.
Some are. Well, okay. So the chocolate chip was one, like I said, always done. And then I kind of, before I started selling, I was like, I want it, like, I was never satisfied with it. So it's like, let me make it a little bit better. And now I have that one finalized. But I knew going into it, I was like, I don't want to be an at-home baker. If this takes off, I don't want to always be an at-home baker. So eventually I'd love to have my own storefront and bakery. So when developing recipes, I was like, I need to keep that in mind because I can't start out with a recipe and then change it later on, meaning like I can't, when I'm trying to scale it and make large batches, I have to think about the end profit, you know, and I can't be doing all these random things that are going to be taking out of profit and taking time, extra time when I'm making large batches. So I really kept that in mind when making recipes. That was first. And then also I knew I like big cookies. You know, these aren't like we say on them, these aren't like your average cookies. They're almost a half a pound. They're like 6 ounces, sometimes a little over. No cookies smaller than 4. So I was keeping that in mind too. And it's like you said, baking is a freaking science. Like, and I was not good at science or math in school. I was awful. And so it was really like learning the chemistry and like to get them big and keep them consistent and what like ingredients worked and what like made them spread. And it was such a learning curve. It was such a, oh my God, the time and the money spent on ingredients, oh my gosh, like not every recipe is like fantastic. I have many fails come out of our oven.
So real quick, before I forget, would you like to hear a real life anonymous review of your bakery? I have one.
Anonymous.
Yeah. I stress anonymous.
Yes.
But I have it. It just happened to come up in conversation with one of my friends from Phoenix, and she actually is a customer of yours. And what she had to say, I thought was so high praise. I thought it would be great. It would be great. No. And I'm going to keep it PG. Okay. Dude, her bakery, it's disgusting. I ordered her salted caramel, oatmeal chocolate chip, and cookies and cream. I've never been such a fat A-word as I was the weekend I got them. I had to have a come to Jesus. So that's it. I did not
Thanks, Anonymous.
So that's anybody who's curious. If you want orders that will literally wreck your entire weekend, whatever mojo you have going on in your health and fitness, and you're just trying to get off the rails real quick, but in like the best way possible. If you're looking for your own come to Jesus, then.
I love that.
Yeah, but I thought it was so good. That was a totally unsolicited review too. I think I was just, where did they even come up with? I think maybe I was just talking about the podcast or something like that. And then, she felt compelled to just go, I'm sorry, this person, I will not mention whether it's a male or female.
I wasn't sure at first, but then I knew. I was like,
I said too much.
Know.
I said too much.
And then when you said the types of cookies, I never forget an order.
I guess the order. Yeah, the order you wouldn't. Yeah. But I was going to make a point to be as
what a
just.
compliment.
There you go. Talk about word of mouth. Word of mouth right there.
Yeah, word of mouth. There's actually a barbecue place, going back to barbecue, by us in Tempe called Word of Mouth Grill. And I love it. Because you would never know it's in it. It's a bomb barbecue. My God, phenomenal.
What are we talking here? Brisket? They do brisket?
Brisket. Their mac and cheese. Oh my God.
That sounds like some Texas-style
Jesus,
barbecue.
as Anonymous said. Oh, it is phenomenal. But yeah, their word of mouth grill. And I was driving by it the other day, and I was like, I just love their name. It's so funny because you would never know. Like, I would not know it was barbecue. But we just happened to go there one day, searching for barbecue. I would think it was like a pub by the name. But yeah, word of mouth. It's everything, and they know that.
And if they do brisket, then that's probably worth checking out, as long as they do it right. I'm still learning how to do it right.
They do it right. Yeah, your video, I saw the, barbacoa, Whole30 barbacoa.
Yes, barbacoa. That turned out really well.
Wonderful.
I was very proud of that. That was, since starting Munching with Michael, I've tried to put a lot more like energy into the things that I cook. And in the last couple months have been probably some of the top few meals that I can remember where I'm like, that's one of the best meals I've ever cooked for sure. And it's
everything looks great. Yeah. So you're liking it? You're liking being it? Because I always think of you as a cook though. Like you're always when I would come over, you would feed me, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff that I made was like just kind of like food as fuel, you know. Like I cook really like when I cook for myself, it's always been just really simple. Like I'm literally like I microwave baked potato or I microwave sweet potatoes. I cook chicken breasts in the Instant Pot and shred it with like ranch or barbecue or whatever. I'm very much just like a boring stuff. So this has been nice because it's like, oh, you know, what is something that I think is like really cool? It would be really cool to make. And then I just get to have an excuse to go out and make it and turn it into something to share with people. And, you know, whether or not anybody like takes a look at it, it's not really the point, you know, it's just trying to, I don't know, just have fun with it. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, even Munching with Michael has a similar story where it was March. It was like mid-March, and all the stay-at-home orders had come out. And Michael, he was out of work as a chef, and I was in San Antonio by myself. Alyssa was still living in Phoenix and working at home without really any social outlets or anything to do. And that was just kind of the genesis of this whole hobby, this whole project, this whole social media empire, if you will. Was just, hey, you know, we've got this thing that we want to do, and we've got this abundance of time, and we just need to do something. Like, you just got to have something to keep your mind busy, right? It's like you said, after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
First couple of weeks, it's like, yeah, this is nice. I can just, you know, stay at home in my pajamas. And then after 2 weeks, you're like, oh my God, am I going to like put pants on today? Like, something's got to give.
What a weird time. But it's like you're saying, it's fun. Like when you enjoy it, it's fun. Mm-hmm. So at least you're having fun. But then if it goes somewhere, you know, that's what's great. You're profiting or, you know, moving up based on a hobby and something you enjoy doing. That's the life.
Yeah. And I mean, for me with this, at least, it's just producing quality content. That's really what I want. Like if I can like throw up a video and I can watch that video a month later and like enjoy watching it or remember that meal, or maybe a friend says something about watching it and, you know, they got to laugh, or like, oh, that recipe, wow, like what you made looked really good. Like, you know, that to me is all I'm looking for really with it. And yeah, if all of a sudden this can become somewhat of a hobby, even learning social media skills and things like that, like what a great thing to know, right? Like for anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in my professional life, my 9 to 5, it, you know, social media has no part. Like I don't really see a way for that to translate as a skill, but who knows? Maybe it can, you know? You guys have, or you and Michael, the first episode, but you've done a great job in YouTube and podcast. It's a lot. And then you have the editing. So it's not like you're just cooking and done. It's been wonderful. And I texted you, but I sincerely meant it. And you never heard Brian say this, but I was talking to one of our friends or two of our friends, and I was like, I loved the podcast. And Brian was like, I heard her laughing, and I thought she was listening to John, Jay, and Rich, like just like laughing. I was listening to your podcast. Oh,
and he was
that's
like,
awesome.
I didn't know. Yeah, I loved it. And I really, like, I started at work, and I was not getting anything done. I was so, like, enthralled with the stories and, like, connecting. And I was like, okay, I have to wait until after work because I was not being productive. Loved it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Michael's a great guy, too. I think that what I need to do, I need to learn how to get better at audio feeds and stuff like that, because I think it'd be really cool. Like, I wish Michael was on right now too. Like, I would love to hear what a chef, like what his questions are for you, because he's really into sourdough. I don't know if you've seen any of his baking videos. He is a sourdough like guru. Like his videos are amazing, and I really want to try baking some sourdough. I've seen some of the pictures.
I haven't watched the videos yet, but I know that from the podcast, and there were a lot, because he talked about that. Sourdough, was it Sundays? Sourdough
Saturday. We're only 1 week in. He already dropped the ball, but he assured me and the rest of the crew that his video is coming. I guess sourdough just takes a long time, and video editing. He has a child, so he's got a free pass to any timeline commitment, you know?
Yeah, that is very true. It's Super Bowl weekend, too, so it's just, you know, a lot going on.
I didn't watch it. But I'm a Packer fan, so I was like, it was still a little too fresh. But I did follow the score. I did check in on the score, and
not that exciting. But you know what? I'm so happy for Bruce Arians. Like, I remember when Bruce Arians was the head coach in Phoenix for the Cardinals, and like, what a likable guy. And truly, and the whole coaching staff, very diverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great story. To me, I don't think Tom Brady getting another ring is very interesting, but I think the Bucs defense preventing a touchdown by Kansas City, I think that's tremendous. Todd Bowles. Hell of a job.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we just wanted a good game, and I will tell you, after halftime, we started playing a card game, and we just had it on in the background. Like, we were not captivated by any means. It was, but I mean, good for the people that won.
That's what I heard. Yeah, everybody, like all of my feeds and stuff like that seem to suggest that it just really wasn't a very riveting or exciting game. Like even a blowout loss can still be exciting, you know, depending on how it goes. But that's too bad.
And Brian kept saying, "I don't want it to be a boring game," and I was like, "There's no way it's going to be a boring game."
You wouldn't think so.
My gosh,
go figure. Did you guys watch the halftime show?
Oh, did we? I love the weekends.
Yeah.
Love the weekends. Actually, you guys lived here. I asked because I was like, Alyssa, I'm pretty sure like enjoys the weekend as well. And so I asked, I was like, he's coming to concerts. And so I know she would go if you guys were here. So I was very excited that he was performing. And I know he's gotten so much hate, but I loved it. And I was like, he had so many restrictions with COVID. I want to like stick up for him. Like he needs my support, but he had so many restrictions and I loved it. And actually today we got our tickets to see him next year in April. So I'm very excited.
Oh, that's
like his
awesome.
concert was like I was like, I don't know how he's going to be, but I loved it. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't. I've been meaning to, I will. That was the one thing I said is I really wanted to I wanted to see the Super Bowl halftime performance. I've always been really interested in him as a performer. I've actually always known him as Brisket Head. There's a running joke. I call him Brisket Head. Yeah. Because he performed at this must have been, maybe 5-6 years ago. He performed during the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And he must have been relatively early on in his career, but his hair was such that his hair was like up. And
I know exactly. Yep. Yes, can picture this. Yeah. And when Alyssa told me that that's how you refer to him,
Brisket.
I was like, I wonder if it's because I didn't think of the Victoria's Secret moment, but I thought of that hairstyle he had very early on, and totally makes sense.
Yeah, we were probably just sitting around watching the Victoria's Secret fashion show for the reasons that a bunch of bachelors would sit around and watch the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And we just see this guy that we've never heard of before, don't know anything about him. And yeah, it's just Brisket Head. And I still think Brisket Head. But yeah, he's turned into quite the prolific performer, right? Like, and I love that. Like, he seems like he's just a really theatrical guy. Like, you know, whether or not he's performing, he's just got this kind of larger than life persona where anytime he's in the public eye, he's performing, even if he's not performing, right? And I love that.
He had this whole era, like the plastic surgery that I don't know if you saw those like pictures where it was this whole era over the past year, like leading up to the Super Bowl and all of his live performances prior to the Super Bowl, like he was in bandages and stuff.
Sure.
So it kind of reminds me of Taylor Swift.
People didn't know if that was part of an act, right? Like they weren't sure.
Exactly.
Like I feel like I remember the picture circulating for a few months, and then eventually it seemed like it was kind of like a performance art sort of a thing or some sort of a statement. Yeah. And
I love it.
I thought, love it. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the memes that came out of, you'll know when you watch the performance, the memes have been, God, I love a good like pop culture moment. That's just the next day you get such quality social media content. Like I've just been dying all day.
Yeah.
At the memes and videos.
A lot of the ones I've seen have been, maybe that's just my feeds, but they've been GI related. Like a lot of people have been talking about like going to the bathroom or like eating some like, I don't know, spicy food or just like, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it because I'm out of the loop right now. And obviously like working on the Munching with Michael stuff is completely food driven. So like, obviously I'm very skewed with what people are saying with memes and all that stuff. But yeah, if people are talking, that means that there was something to see. I mean,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I liked it. But again, I was like, I love him. So there was some bias, but I didn't know how he was going to be. And he has a lot of music that's not, I would say, geared towards Americans watching the Super Bowl, you know, a good chunk of the country. So I was wondering what he was going to perform, but it was good.
Good. Okay. Well, he gets your stamp of approval.
He really needs it.
Yeah, as soon as I get some time, it's just been so go. When I get some time, I will sit down and watch that. Was not interested in the game, but I was definitely interested in checking out that halftime performance. And I'm okay with the outcome. I was really gunning for Kansas City. I really like Andy Reid. I really like Patrick Mahomes. There's not like Kansas City is just an easy team to like right now. You know, it seems like they have so much fun with all their success and they're so much fun to watch, like the offensive juggernauts and Tampa Bay was just this team that's been kind of in the mix all season long, and then they started gelling really well. But man, that team that played,
wild,
so good.
It was insane.
The Buccaneers team that showed up and beat Green Bay, like I couldn't believe it. I watched it, and I wasn't even mad afterwards. Like a lot of times, watching Green Bay lose in the playoffs has been gut wrenching to me. I mean, I still actually, this is true. I had to stop following the Packers social media. I deleted all my like NFL updates and stuff like that. I had to go off the grid for like a week, which is just kind of part of my ritual. But no, I mean, hats off to Tampa Bay. The team I saw was like, man, yeah, that's a good team. Sometimes you
great
win.
team.
Great team.
Yeah.
So that's that. So you were busy on the Super Bowl. Now I saw some pictures of some Super Bowl cookies. So actually, okay, so I've got 2 questions. I'm going to ask 2 questions, and I'd like you to answer them in whatever order you want. Number 1, I wanted to know, could you tell me, so it's Super Bowl weekend, you guys hosted, or were you guys guests?
We hosted, and I want to make this clear because I know we're in a pandemic. We didn't host like a big shindig. It was
a super. You wouldn't say it was a super spreader.
No, it was not a super spreader. Yeah. But we had I could make such a bad joke. It
wasn't downtown Tampa Bay, is what you're saying.
No, it wasn't the entire state of Florida. That mess of a state.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm in. I come from my dad's a public health doc, and I work at a military hospital right now. I'm a healthcare provider, and I'm very much a champion of progressive themes when it comes to public health. I'm fully vaccinated and all that. But I heard a lot of the stories coming out about all the debauchery in downtown Tampa Bay, and they're despite recommendations from local public health officials, city still celebrates Super Bowl victory in the streets. And even I was like, well, no shit. What are you expecting? Don't try to turn that into a story. There is no story to be had there.
They could have lost and they would have celebrated. Florida just does what Florida wants. There is nothing they've been doing it the whole time. That's just Florida.
Yeah,
and
for better or for
great
worse.
Entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's coming from somebody living in Texas, where Texas, I feel like Texas and Florida share a lot in common. I think Florida is just, they're kind of the same as Texas, but they're just they're off the deep end. Yeah, they're
worse.
Wild. Yeah. I guess Florida,
if
all you have to do.
Florida wasn't a state, then Texas would be, I feel like our country's Florida, but thank God for Florida because no one can surpass the tomfoolery that they just do daily.
That's for sure. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. But okay, all right. Anyways, getting back to it though. So you did not host a super spreader event on Super Bowl Sunday. You had a small gathering with close friends. I'm assuming that nobody, you guys were probably appropriately distanced, I would guess. Probably
we weren't
laying on top of each other. Okay.
I mean, before COVID, that was not our favorite thing to do either, but after COVID. Okay. But we stayed apart, couples sat by each other.
Sure. So, okay. So then here are the questions. So you're hosting Super Bowl Sunday. You have a bomb-ass bakery. What did you prepare for Super Bowl? And what was my second question? I had another question. It was, what are you going to have for Super Bowl? What did you have for Super Bowl? And, I don't know. One generally that I wanted to talk about, one general topic is your range of products. Because we've heard about the chocolate chip cookies. We know that salted caramel will get you off the rails and basically ruin your life in a matter of days.
Off the rails.
Yeah. But tell me about Super Bowl Sunday and tell me about the range of what you're making. What do you have on your menu right now?
Okay, Super Bowl Sunday. Do you want non-bakery items too or non-dessert items too?
You know what? I think so. Start with dessert. Okay. Start with dessert, and then let me know what else you decided. Because yes, you have your own bakery, but your culinary expertise does not stop at baked goods.
Thank you. I must say, anytime I'm just feeling down, I will contact you because your compliments have been top notch, and I love it.
I spit truth. I don't compliment.
Ending my Monday
I just say what I notice. I just say what I notice.
Look at that though. You're topping when I'm the compliment thing. It's just always so lovely. But okay, so starting with desserts, I made sugar cookies, which I have a story about later because sugar cookies and I have not been friends, but we mended our relationship yesterday. They turned out fantastic. So I made sugar cookies with buttercream frosting, and I decorated them like in footballs. I did jerseys, so I did Gronk, Brady, and Mahomes jerseys, and then footballs, helmets. Like, and I did their little logo. And then I made chocolate cupcakes with a chocolate buttercream frosting, and I made those into I took all the cupcakes and I put them into a football shape. And then so that was it for desserts. No chocolate chip cookies yesterday. It was all, they got the chocolate with the cupcakes.
Did they complain?
No, they did not complain. And I thought I was going to be left with a lot of desserts, only because I made a lot. Like sugar cookies and cupcakes, it makes a lot.
Sure.
But they ate them, and it was great. And if anyone complains, I'd be like, shut up and eat the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah. No, not that
you
you would get a complaint. Come on now.
And then food, I had a nacho and taco bar. So I made birria. I'm saying it so not authentic, but birria I made for the first time, and it was, so good. I'm sorry. If anyone made it, I just love shredded. It's like the barbacoa kind of, but just in that sauce. Yeah. But I love it. So I was nervous to make that, but I made that, and then I had the nacho and taco bar fixins. I made elote and the buffalo chicken dip, which I always have at any time anyone comes over.
Oh yeah, we know about the buffalo chicken dip.
Oh my God.
We don't have to go into that right now, but we know about the buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah.
Aphrodisiac,
so it was
I've heard.
Only on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Only on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a good spread. We'll be having the birria tonight for dinner for leftovers. Brian requested that again, so it makes my life easy.
That sounds like a killer spread.
It was a good spread. Yeah, we had some veggies to get our greens in. But yeah, it was good. Simple but good, Super Bowl.
Yep.
Easy to eat.
Absolutely. I thought about making wings. I did not make wings. I did not.
Yeah, what did you guys have? Oh, you had
short rib.
Broken your Dutch oven. Oh my God.
Yeah, I spent the day
so good.
With short rib. Short ribs, beef short rib has been on my radar as something I want to make for a very long time. And I went back and forth about whether or not to make a video of it. And ultimately I decided not to, because when you have a video, it's a lot of pressure. And the more you do it, it originally is a fun thing, but once you try to start getting good at it, then all of a sudden, if you're not confident that it's going to be good, it doesn't sound fun anymore. So there were too many things I was doing for the first time, so I didn't bother. But yeah, no, we did.
That makes sense.
Yeah, beef short ribs.
It looked phenomenal. How was it? Because I love short ribs, but I've never attempted to make it.
Oh, it was so good, and they were pretty easy to do too. So it seems like for me, with a beef short rib, there's two ways to go. You can either, if you're going to do it like a Central Texas smoke style, you just stick it on the smoker forever. You could do 5-6 hours on the smoker, or traditional short rib seems like you typically braise it in a red wine sauce. So I actually did both. So I just threw it on the smoker for 2.5 hours, like a traditional Texas with just a real basic rub. And then that's what I did. That's how I broke in the Dutch oven. So I just, did a pretty simple red wine sauce. Braised it in the oven for a few hours, and then we just had it with some mashed potatoes and asparagus, and yeah, it was good. Oh, it was really good.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I like how the entire country was having wings, nachos, dips, and you had short ribs. And mashed potatoes and asparagus.
That was one of them. I literally, that was one of the best meals I've ever made. That was definitely a confidence booster, and maybe I'm actually good at cooking because this is phenomenal. Alyssa didn't like the gravy. The gravy was literally just a reduction of all the juice that was in the Dutch oven with the braising. So it was just red wine, beef stock, a bunch of aromatics and stuff like that.
Good.
Reduced it down. It was obscene. It was obscene how good it was.
Yeah, Alyssa.
I've never cooked I've never really cooked with wine either. So this is a totally new avenue. I actually watched Julia and Julia for the first time recently. And I'm I need to start cooking everything with butter and red wine. But anyways.
That sounds, so I saw obviously the Instagram, which I totally understand. It's a lot when you're trying a recipe like that. Even when it seems simple, there's a lot. You have to, it's a low and slow?
Yep.
It's detailed. Mm-hmm. But I think you should make it again so I can follow it and video it.
Yeah, no, I would like
YouTube.
to. The only thing too is the way that I'm doing it now, I film with a phone and a gooseneck clip. So every time you film something, you have to set up the shot and make sure the shot is good.
Yeah.
So especially for this recipe, it was like it was preparing the short rib and then going outside and then bringing it back in. And then it was the mashed potatoes and then the asparagus. So like I typically will do like one meat dish where I like prep it inside, go cook it outside, and then finish it off inside, and that's it. But there was just too much going on, and I actually did want to like make a full meal. So I'm hoping, so on the radar is maybe get a camera, a dedicated camera, like kind of more of a vlogging oriented camera with just like a tripod that I can just carry around, so it's not such a pain in the butt to set up shots and stuff like that. But if I could I would love to make a video of that. That would be a good recipe. But I've got two of them in the feeder right now that I have to do before I can think about another one.
No, it looked, phenomenal.
It was good.
And like when you lifted the lid on the Dutch oven.
Yeah, it worked.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's what I told Brian. I was like, I want, for Valentine's Day, we're trying to figure out where to go. And I was like, I want either salmon or beef short ribs after I saw your post. So you've motivated me. I'm determined.
I'm trying to think.
And you cooked salmon too.
Yeah. Smoked salmon turned out really good. Yeah, that one I do all the time. Yeah, salmon's easy to do. That looked amazing. If after we're done with this, who knows? I'm sure that you have a very like detailed and sophisticated knowledge of the who's who of eateries in Phoenix, but I feel like when I worked there, I went to enough like work dinners that I've had a lot of really, really good short rib in Phoenix. So, well,
the problem is we are late to the game, and there's no reservations. Like, not even if we wanted to do like a 9 o'clock or a 3 o'clock.
That's right. That's this weekend.
And we're gonna see you. So we're gonna celebrate see you all weekend and then have a great dinner after. So it's going to be a phenomenal weekend. I'm very excited to see you guys.
That's right. I completely forgot about that. That's in 4 days. That's coming up in 4 days. That'll be good. We will be in Phoenix in 4 days because we were supposed to do a final walkthrough at our wedding venue. And then that didn't happen, but we said, well, let's keep that weekend. Yeah, Phoenix in February is always a really nice time.
And it's supposed to be gorgeous this weekend.
Sure
Sunday's going to rain, but you guys are leaving. So it's like perfect. You're going to be like 70 degrees.
And in San Antonio, Texas, the overnight lows this weekend, last time I checked 2 days ago, was going to be at like 25 below freezing. So it's going to be under freezing, which is funny because right now, all of our compadres in Milwaukee, where my family and friends are, I think I'll bet they probably don't even have a degree right now. It's probably 0. It might be negative for all I know right now. Yeah, they've been like polar vortexing.
Yeah. Oh, no. I didn't know that was a thing until I lived in Ohio.
Yeah, I take that back. They idea. It's 9 degrees there. So they actually have 9 degrees. They're fine. They've got tons of degrees.
But single digits.
Can't do it. They send me pictures of that. My parents will send me a picture and they're like, look how beautiful the snow is. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Why you don't have to, there are places in this world where you don't have to deal with that. But, it's beautiful in its own way, I guess.
It's beautiful to visit. I could never move back to Ohio. No. My God. The day after graduation, I drove out to Arizona, actually. I was like, bye.
That was it? You were done?
Yeah. Well, I decided a week before I graduated. I was like, 10 days. I was like, I am going to move. And so, yeah. And I love Arizona. But it's just like not the snow. And cleaning your car. And it's just such a process. Like, people talk crap about the heat, but it's like, we're fine. Like, we're not out there shoveling our car in our driveways for an hour.
You can't shovel sunshine, right? You cannot shovel sunshine, as they say.
Such a pretentious,
That's the most
quote,
pretentious
but I
thing
love
to
it.
say, yeah. But who knows? And you want to know what? I love the idea of moving back to Arizona, but here's the question that I have. Are they going to have is that a sustainable place to live? In 30 years?
Are you talking about with the heat? Did you just read that article? Is that why you're saying it? Because
no, not at all. I think about these things. I'm like, well, Arizona, Phoenix is a great place to live as long as the Colorado River. I felt like I spend enough time listening to NPR in Phoenix to know we all need to be monitoring what's going on with the Colorado River very, very strictly, and closely. And people ask me so when you lived in Phoenix, were there water shortages or did people have to conserve? I'm like, no, I never noticed it once. It seemed odd to me that everybody acted in Phoenix water is this infinite thing that's never going to run out. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense because they're literally pulling all of their water from the Colorado River, which is also responsible for, 4 other states, right? I feel like it's a pretty major. Yeah. So anyways, those are the things I think about.
I don't know. It's definitely going to happen. I mean, there's just no, especially with how our the climate's going. It's going to happen. But I don't know. In our lifetime, I mean, I feel like it definitely our children's and grandchildren, if you have kids, you know what I mean? Lifetime. Like it's definitely going to happen. I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
just like
I don't know for sure. But I know that I think we were talking about this a little bit. The real estate projections for the next 2 to 3 years are very promising.
Oh, God.
So in the short term, you don't have to worry about that in the short term.
Yeah. Real estate here. I mean, the whole country, but oh my gosh, Phoenix is just an animal.
Everybody wants to go. It's a beautiful place to be. It really is.
It's beautiful, but it's like pushing back the time Brian and I can purchase a house. Well, he owns, so I can own. And I'm just like, stay put, you guys. Just stay put. You're driving up the prices and taking all the houses.
I found on Wixsy.
Wherever you are,
I'm
it's
so
terrible.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I don't
Alexa
even know what that was.
just started yelling. No, it was Alexa.
It was Alexa.
She's so finicky. Yeah.
She's listening.
she's always listening.
Always listening. The silence is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a busy day. It's nice to be able to just sit for a second.
So I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm trying out this new, I've got this new foam on my microphone. I had like a traditional windscreen before, but I've got this foam. So I feel like I'm like leaning against it because it's like soft and it looks really, it looks nice. So I'm gonna have to look at this after the fact to make sure I don't have to edit out like this weird mouth breathing. I don't know if I've been like mouth breathing this time.
I don't hear anything, and I will say no one can see this except we're on FaceTime. But you remind me of Howard Stern. The setup, very professional.
Oh, nice.
Very Howard Stern.
Yeah, it's all just random stuff I had. I bought a lot of music and audio equipment when I stopped working at Guitar Center. I called it my own personal severance package. I just bought a bunch of stuff with my employee discount and it's been sitting around. That actually was one of my reasons for really wanting to start this podcast. I'm like, I've got this cool audio equipment. Like, I'd like to see if I can make some good quality recordings. So yeah, it just gives me an excuse to use them. So that's been good.
The quality was great too in the first episode. Yeah, really wonderful.
I thought it sounded pretty good. Yeah, it sounded fine. But one thing we still haven't talked about is and I still want to talk about this, is how many different recipes do you have in your catalog right now, in your menu? So you mentioned cookies, you mentioned cupcakes.
Yes.
What is the spread? What is the scope of your business?
So I wanted to make sure, because everyone knows me for cookies, but I was like, I want to make sure it's Winso Bakery or anything. My name was like not Cookie Shop. So I was like, I need to start out like not with just cookies. So besides cookies, which I can get into some random flavors later, I have cupcakes. I have cake, which you'll be trying this weekend because I will be making a funfetti cake for one of our friends' 30th birthdays. So I have cakes. I have cinnamon rolls for my pastries, and then I'm in the process of developing like a homemade, like my own version of a Pop-Tart, but not like as hard and like dry.
More of a toaster strudel?
Don't get me wrong. Yes, exactly. Like I am not knocking Pop-Tarts. That was my childhood, and I'm proud of that.
But toaster strudels were the fancy Pop-Tarts. They're for the fancy kids.
I never had toaster strudels. Like I've never had one in my entire life. I've been around them. Like my roommates in college loved them, but I've never had one. Not even a bite.
They were too bougie.
Yeah, too bougie for me. And brownies. And so those are everything on the menu. I'm trying to think of and my cake bites, which are like cake pops without the stick. And they are what I love them. Honestly, that's one of my favorite things. They're so good.
Do you have recipes for all of these different things, like in some sort of like a secret encyclopedia book that you keep guarded with a lock?
Yeah, my God, Brian's like, Alyssa's asked me before. She's like, "Hey, can I have the chocolate chip cookie recipe?" And I was like, "You cannot, but I will make them for you anytime."
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Brian does not even know. Like he sees me when I'm making recipes, like writing them, but he doesn't even know where I transfer them to. They don't have a lock, but they are guarded. And like when I leave the house, like if I have to run out when I'm baking and like grab something, I like hide the recipe book. I mean, he's not going to do anything, but like I'm so paranoid. I'm a freak of nature.
Sure, of course.
But yeah, I make the recipes, and then as I'm baking, I start out with like a general, like this, and this. This is what I think will work. This is the vision I'm going for, what I want it to taste like. And if it works the first time, awesome. But normally, like I'll do notes in between. So like if I don't know, like if I tried the dough and like I need to add like something more, like I'll just add notes. And it's normally a process. Like it's rare something comes out like perfect on the first time. Like some things come out good, some things come out like crap, but like not like perfect. And so I'll just make notes, and then once I test and test and test, and then I'll write them in my recipe book and put it away. But yeah, those are so brownies, cakes, cupcakes, cookies, the cinnamon roll pastry type things, and cake bites. Those are my like baked goods that I have right now.
That's amazing.
But again, it's slow because I want to do like so many things, but I'm a perfectionist, and I am extremely like I don't want to put out a crap product, and I'm also like, you can't change your recipes halfway through. Like people don't like that, so I need to make sure it's perfect before I put it out there.
No, that makes sense. And that was one thing I was really curious with is like, what's the tinkering process like? Like when do you know it's ready, or do you just know? Like you just have that bite and you're like, yep, that's it.
Okay, so it's really hard because you do Whole30, like sometimes as, random months, but you'll do paleo. So I like to do paleo, and we eat paleo probably like 5 to 6 nights out of the week. So it's really hard for me to test because like my system, it's like a shock to the system. I'm not used to it. So like I'll test occasionally, but then I'll like give it to like random people. I'll be like, you try it. Brian, like eat. Tell me what you like. So I'll do that way. But honestly, I don't really rely on what I like because I'm so picky. So I like to ask like others what they enjoy.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I was like, God, like I had a weekend where I baked within like 3 days. I mean, I'm not kidding, like 40 hours. Like it was insane because I was trying to test all these recipes to get them ready for my website. And I was like, my goodness, I wish Jim and Alyssa were still right down the road because I need people. Like even Brian was like he loves sweets, but he's like, my pants are getting a little tight.
Sure
and
thing.
Like it's hard to like test constantly. But yeah, I will. One thing, because like I said, they're not always perfect, but one thing I laughed at so hard at last episode, your first episode, was when Michael said he put salt instead of the sugar in the I don't know if it was like the pastries. Do you remember that story?
Yep, it was a pastry chef.
Oh my God, I laughed so hard because I've never done anything like that, but I've screwed up. I mean, like it's such a science, but it's just like, it was so funny because it's like, you just have those moments when you're trying out stuff. And like, sometimes I'll just be like, Brittany, you are an idiot. Let me tell you, girlfriend, like you need to get it together because you just make these mistakes. It's just like so repetitive. And yeah, it's just a process.
Definitely. I suppose you just got to be a quick learner. Like you learn pretty quick with it, right? Like I feel very similar, like with the way that I cook too. Like a lot of times, I think it's actually interesting that you say that too, that you don't cook for yourself. I feel the same way. Like I cook all the time here, but usually I'm always cooking for Alyssa. Like I will eat anything. I can enjoy anything, even something I don't like. I'll still eat it and I'll be fine. Cause again, I'm like a paleo food is fuel kind of person where I'm like, if the ingredients have nutritional merit, then even if I don't like the way that it tastes, like I can enjoy it as a good meal. But Alyssa's the exact opposite. Like she has such a picky palate. So I wouldn't
say I have a picky palate, but I can't have it not taste good. That's crazy. I mean, that's the definition of food is fuel.
Yeah. I'm also like a yo-yo dieter too. So like for me, I'm like just used to the idea of like, no, you just eat this meal and get on to the next meal and stuff like that. But Alyssa, like if it's too peppery, if there's too much garlic, if it's, too spicy, but she can handle a little bit of spice, just this and that. Like I just always have to be thinking ahead. And I like it.
Oh, yeah. That is picky.
And like my goals, like if I can get Alyssa to say, damn, Jim, that's good. If I get a damn, that's good out of her, I'm riding this high. Like I feel so good.
You're a saint. That's a lot of pressure.
Well, I like a tough audience. I like a challenge. If I'm going to do something, I like to have an idea in my head and be able to execute a plan. And if the plan is just getting a damn Jim, that's good, then, I want to give it my all. But like you said, sometimes it's just not good at all. Well, I think it's good, but it doesn't hit the mark. It doesn't hit the mark. And that's fine too. But yeah, it's always a process, always learning, always trying new things. And yeah,
Yeah, that's very much it. And like, you mentioned, and even Michael in the first episode, baking is just such a science. And it's also very, very mathematical. Like just with the weights and the amount of flour, the amount of like,
do you measure
so
in grams?
Mathematical.
Do you measure things in grams?
I absolutely do.
See, that's to me, that means you're
legit.
legit. In my eyes, like if you have a food scale and you measure in grams, then you're the real deal.
Yeah, food scale. Because I know you were like, okay, so I'll say this because I'm so secretive. But yeah, food scale, get a food scale. Like it is, I can't even imagine. Like the only time I use measuring cups now is to put the flour or put the sugar into my big bowl on the scale.
Oh, okay.
I don't use measuring cups. Yeah. You have to weigh, and it makes a big difference. It really does.
So if you, so I have aspirations of getting into the baking realm, something simple. If you could recommend something for me to wet my whistle on in the baking world, what would you recommend that I take a stab at? If I'm going to do some scratch baking, I just want something simple, but something that has the potential of being very good. What do you think I should start with?
Okay, my mind went from, first I was like chocolate chip cookies, just because there's so many variations, like on such a basic cookie, you know what I mean? But you really can go so many different ways. But then when you're like, so even like super, super simple, nothing fancy, genuinely, I would go to basic sugar cookie.
Okay.
Basic. And that's like if you're just getting started.
101.
And I can go more like, because I would say like, you're not using multiple types of sugar. You're just using white sugar. And this, again, this is very, like, if you are just getting started, which I think you're well versed in the kitchen. No, you're good in the kitchen. But like, I would say, sugar cookie. And then, chocolate chip, I would say would be good. I feel like you could do a chocolate chip cookie.
Would you say, so if I wanted to get a recipe for this, I'm not going to ask you for your recipe. Offline, I might try to figure out some way to get a recipe out of you. Would you say just go ahead and Google? Like, so now I'm thinking like, all right, well, I need to make a sugar cookie because you said if you want to just first start out, bake something, start with a sugar cookie. So I'm like, okay, I need to make a sugar cookie now. Can I just Google basic sugar cookie recipe? And should I just click the first one that looks good to me?
Oh, absolutely. I will say this. I would not. There's a big, so I truly, I pride myself. I make my own recipes, but like, let's say like Brian or you were like going to make a recipe. I wouldn't just, what are you going to, of course, Google, because you won't know the ingredients, you know, the ratios. That's really important. Mm-hmm. Google.
That's a good place to start. I'm not going to be like, there's not some huge like insider tip that's going to make my cookie like 1,000% better if I just do this thing that, you know, the professionals do.
Okay, so I will say this. I will, like, even Brian has tried, like, one time I had this, like, it was the weekend. I had been baking for, like, hours, like, this, like, what about, like, 40 hours, so many hours. And, like, he saw me doing something, like a secret thing I do for my chocolate chip cookie recipes.
I won't
He's like,
pitch
what are you doing
though
stuff for your cookies? And I was like,
curious.
get out of the kitchen! Yeah, I was like, get out! Like, I don't even tell him. So I like, oh my God, it was a mess. And he's like, oh, like, but I was like, just get out. But like, so I won't say any of those tips, but I will say, for just like basic tips that I would use in any recipe, cookie, pastries, cakes, a scale for sure.
Yep.
And you're going to see online. So like, I had to learn because obviously I don't know. We didn't learn the metric system. It's like, you'll see like grams, like I use a cup of all-purpose flour is 125 grams, but you'll see on some websites it's 130, 120, but like get a general idea, whatever, you know, how much you want. So I always have a scale. Oven thermometer is key. I just have like a cheap little one from Amazon. But through that, I found out our oven was 15 degrees off, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is, especially when like I like my cookies big. 15 degrees is completely different when you're baking. Like it's a whole different ballgame and how your finished product turns out. So oven thermometer is huge. I mean, even if you're not baking, you should get an oven thermometer. But ovens are rarely accurate. And you know when you have a countdown to when it's like preheated? Mm-hmm. Like I would find it would go off in like 6 minutes and say it was preheated, but like it wouldn't be fully at that temperature that I wanted for like maybe 15, 20 minutes after, depending on how hot that I wanted the oven. So oven thermometer, scale, those are my big things. Any recipe. Like, I feel like it'll change the game, even if you're just getting a random recipe off Google.
So it sounds like taking steps to eliminate guesswork. Because if you have a scale, you're not guessing anything. If you have a proper thermometer, you're not guessing anything. So if you can get control of those things, then maybe your consistency will be a little bit better.
And read the recipe. I will say that too. Like, read the recipe. Because again, I didn't start out, like I said, I was like in college, in high school, I was doing more boxed like cakes and stuff. And I would always add in my own like stuff to them. But like, I wasn't like, 10 years old, like, making like these fancy cookies. Like, no. So like gradually, but like when I was first starting out, like, I would like mess up because I wasn't reading it through. So just make sure you're reading the recipe. And whatever the recipe calls for, normally that person, like their finished product is because they did those certain steps, or whether it's like softened butter or they use cold butter. So just make sure you're doing that, because how it is so much like a science is because the cold butter, works better with a certain amount of flour and it mixes better. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all, so just read the recipe thoroughly. Use the ingredients how the recipe calls for the ingredients to be used.
Okay.
I.e., again, like cold butter, sifted flour, yada, yada, yada.
So I'm going to so this is now in my feeder for one of the Munching with Michael official videos. I'm going to make a sugar cookie. I'm going to use a scale. I'm going to use my thermometer system, and I'm going to thoroughly read the recipe.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Do it. And yeah, sugar cookies they're great. My God. We only had a couple extra, and I was a little bummed, which I was happy everyone had them, but they're so good. I love a good sugar cookie.
Awesome. Well, that's it then. So I'm going to do that. That is in my feeder. And actually that works out well, because I think when we first started talking about doing the podcast, I teased you about like getting a recipe, or I told you that that's something I would like to do, is like take a little inspiration from the person I'm talking to, and like, what is something that I could make related to what they do that I wouldn't otherwise make. And it seemed to me that it would be very difficult for me to like weasel out a proper recipe. So I think getting a recommendation of what to do when looking at another recipe through your point of view I think that's reasonable. I feel like I accomplished what I set out to accomplish.
Those are, like, what seems like, I'm sure some people are like, those aren't tips. That's nothing. But like, for me, again, ask Brian, I'm a freak, like, about like every little thing, because though, every random thing, like using a scale instead of a measuring cup, that changes your recipe. It really, really does. Especially because if you're using a measuring cup, you're more than likely using too much flour. And flour totally changes. Like, the amount of flour in a recipe in baked goods changes the final product out of any other ingredient, I would say.
Well,
so that really is a Winso Bakery tip.
That is a Winso Bakery insider tip.
Yes. You heard it here first.
Yeah. So let me take a look. Let me look at my list, because every time I start, I have a list, and I want to make sure that my list got addressed.
You look at your list, and I'm going to pour a little more Pinot Grigio.
Yeah,
which,
please do.
For anyone listening, Kirkland's, I'm a big Costco person, has a Pinot Grigio. They did not have one before. They had other white wines, but they finally have a Pinot Grigio, which for $5 too. We're not bougie in this house. It is sublime. It's so good. Yeah, Costco, actually, their employees, they know me because I always get my baking stuff. So they are some great customers of mine at the Elliott Costco. So thank you.
Yes. Oh, hold on real quick here.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's take a look here. I believe we've actually had our first technical difficulty.
Oh no, what's going on?
I don't know. Some of our conversation got chopped off. I don't know exactly how much of it did. Some of it did. See, what had happened was, let me tell you a story about this. So we're recording right now. Everything is good. But so what I did for this episode is I overlaid the same template that I used for the last one, right? Because I like the way the audio was set up. The levels were good. And on that, I had a track where I included the intro and the outro songs. So what happened was, a little bit back, the outro song started playing out of nowhere.
I heard
Yes,
that.
it actually startled me.
Okay.
So I went as fast as I could to get the outro song to stop. And what I actually did was I actually paused the recording. So I paused the recording, and I happened to look at my computer screen right now and realize that it wasn't playing a little bit back. So I started it back up again. So I'm going to have to figure that out.
I thought that was the ice cream truck, honestly.
No. We do not have any ice cream trucks coming down our street. Definitely
no,
not.
we do. That's why. Oh, no, I heard that noise, and
you thought it was
genuinely
ice cream truck
like,
at your place.
No, I thought it was the ice cream truck at your place.
Oh, there we go.
Because it was like in a distance. Yeah.
No, we don't
I'm
have
glad
it.
we're backing up and running.
We don't have it.
Yeah, we do. We never go out.
So I'm going to have to do some back end wizardry and figure it out. Although actually, maybe I'll be able to use your audio because you've been recording the whole thing.
But I have, but my audio can't hear you, can it? Because I'm on headphones.
No. So maybe I could find a way to, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not sure. We might have to just cut some of that out, which is too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How long? It was probably only like a couple minutes, though.
Yeah, it was a few minutes. It wasn't too much.
Yeah.
All I know is if we heard the outro music, that means that we've got some good content. That means that we've been rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I'm having a blast.
Because this is your first time on a podcast? Have you been on a podcast?
This is my first time on a podcast. No, I haven't. In my dreams, but now it's my... See, dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true.
But no, never like a podcast. Again, I listen and love it. But yeah, never on one.
Sometimes you just got to do it yourself, you know? And here we are.
Right. Well, I was thinking, as you said that, because it's like you not only, I'm assuming you hadn't been on a podcast before this, but not only are you on one, you host one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no. And no, I'd never been on a podcast. I'd listened to some. I knew some personal friends that have had podcasts, but
yeah.
Nope, never been on one. Never had the opportunity. It just kind of stumbled into my lap that it just, you know. I just wanted the opportunity to have conversations with people that I really care about who are doing interesting things. And
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, I sincerely, just like you said, you spit truth. I do not give compliments unless I mean it. It's genuine. It's actually one of my greatest weaknesses because I can't fake it. And I loved the first one so much. Truly enjoyed it. I think I told you were listening. I kept checking. I was like, I don't want it to end, so I would check the time, how much time was left. I loved it.
I think I definitely would like to have you on the podcast again. And I think the goal should be, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I definitely think the goal should be to have Michael on the podcast as well. Because I would love to listen to you two talk about baking things. I think that is a very ripe situation where I can learn a lot. Because again, baking is something that I know nothing about, and he loves it so much and you love it so much. You guys are both very good at it. And I think that would be a good conversation. And I think
I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be good.
But you could, start with that sugar cookie recipe. And I feel like I know you're a very quick learner in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it'll be, especially if you're following recipes. There's such a difference between creating a recipe compared to following. If you're following a recipe, like you have such a learning curve. You're wonderful in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm sure, well, who knows? I mean, I've baked little things here and there, and I don't think I've ever baked anything I've been proud of. So I think that'll be the goal with the sugar cookies, is make some sugar cookies that I'm proud of. Yeah, I don't think so, but I don't bake. I'm not much of a baker. I'll bake Christmas cookies with my little sister. Yeah, I'll bake Christmas cookies with my little sister. We follow little recipes, whatever recipes are there. I mean, and it's not like a super high quality product. I guess that even is more of just, it's like it's the family tradition. It's the holidays. So they're always delicious.
Yeah.
We'll make sugar cookies and gingerbread, and they're super simple recipes. And sometimes
That's
turn out great.
That's what my mom's family does.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sugar cookies at Christmas. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And use I'm sure you know this, buttercream frosting. I mean, royal icing is like the fancy. They're pretty, but you can make pretty buttercream. Buttercream tastes better, and it's easier.
If you say, then I believe it. Because I don't know. I've never made frosting. I have no idea. I know buttercream frosting is delicious. I really like it.
Yeah, it's great. Royal frosting. It's like when you see all like the hardened cookies. It's what I made for your engagement cookies, actually, because I needed that type of frosting is because I needed it to write like fiance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
all those years ago,
buttercream is
many years ago.
God, all those years ago.
By now, we tried to get married twice. We'll get there eventually, though. We're not trying to host a super spreader. Much like your Super Bowl party, our wedding will be no super spreader event.
Yeah, exactly. No super spreading.
No super spreader.
Which it's crazy that you almost got married a year ago, but then you would have been in the less than a month home stretch. But October in Phoenix is beautiful.
That'll be nice. So, yes, it'll be
yeah.
Halloween weekend, but no skeletons are allowed at our wedding. I'm under strict instruction.
Oh
I wanted to encourage people to dress in costumes, but I guess that's not allowed. Jack-o'-lanterns are not appropriate
per
decorations.
Alyssa, it's not allowed?
Yeah, that's per Alyssa. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when it comes to the decorations, if it were up to me, everybody would be dressed like skeletons. We would have, jack-o'-lanterns. Apple cider would be the spiked drink. But
you can still have apple cider.
Maybe, we don't know yet. I hear something from the other room, so I'm assuming that she's on to me, and that's not allowed. We'll see.
Yeah, instead of instead of the pretty candles, you have the jack-o'-lanterns with the candles inside of them, lighting up.
Yes, exactly. Oh. I would love it.
Yeah. I could see her corn being maze. We could have a corn maze. That.
Yeah. It'd be so good.
Just don't say it. Have the burrow, you're leading people into the.
Yes, we'd have the burrow leading people into the corn maze. Basically, all the things that I'm seasonally, we could have a lot of fun with that are expressly off limits. So I have to be mindful and respectful of that.
I am in a wedding group on Facebook, and I don't want because I'm not engaged, but it's a wedding. I want to be careful with my words. It's a wedding shaming, but it's funny wedding shaming. You know what I mean? If people do crazy, crazy things.
Sure.
But I could see if you had a hot corn maze and stuff that would show up there, but it's not always shaming. That's why I was trying to be careful with my words. It's just funny things. You know, it's just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I could see that totally being featured there in that group.
Oh, I just hope it happens.
I don't think it's going to happen. I know Alyssa, and I don't think that will happen. But a corn maze, maybe dress up the donkey.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see what is applicable. They give us a couple options as to what they can wear, so we'll see. We'll see what they do.
I'm very excited. Very excited.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm getting some weird audio stuff right now. So I think now would probably be a good time to start wrapping things up.
No problem.
Yeah, but what I would like to do is I want you to talk about your website. How do people get in touch with you? Where do proceeds go to your business, to Winso Bakery? I want to hear the plug.
Okay, so Winso Bakery, I should spell it Winso, bakery.com is my website, and you can place orders on there. You can see the full menu. And like I said, if it's not, I don't know when this is going to go live, but if it's not live, I mean, it should be. It's just they're doing quick changes, but you can go to my Facebook, which is Winso Bakery, and find how to email contact. But yeah, winsobakery.com is where you'll find all the order forms, menus, and then you can also, so we give proceeds to different local, all of Arizona, not just Phoenix animal shelters. And there's a tab there called In the Community. And you can send a request in that tab, under that tab. And if you have an animal shelter that you want us to donate to, just put it there. And you can see cute pictures of Winnie and Oso on the site and learn more about them because they're just my pride and joy. I cannot even with how much I love them. I was such a freak tearing up as I was writing a thing about these dogs, about their little bios on the website. But and order some delicious baked goods. They're great.
Well, there you go.
And support small.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for taking the time to talk to us today. I think that was wonderful. I'm really excited to try a sugar cookie recipe for myself. And if you're in the Phoenix area, hit her up, get some delicious ass baked goods, help the animals. For the love of God, help the animals.
Help the animals, yeah. Well, thank you. This was so much fun.
Yes, I look forward to doing it. I hope I can come
back because I had a blast.
Yes, I look forward to doing it again. And as we say here at Munching with Michael, keep eating good. You have to say keep eating good, Brittany.
Keep eating good.
All right.